being blocked is the Department of Education. Just earlier today, Democratic members of Congress were blocked from entering the department's headquarters. Democratic lawmakers had met outside to protest Donald Trump and Elon Musk's plan to abolish the department entirely, as well as attempting to seek a meeting with the department's senior leadership. Lawmakers were not only blocked by security holding the front door, but also by Department of Homeland Security police seen in multiple videos from members of Congress. Lawmakers.
It's like, man, they deserve to be blocked, because to me, this look like more of a stunt. Y'all been had time to do something about the Department of Education. Y'all been had something to have. Ben had a chance to do something about the grades and the stuff that was going on. We've been seeing year after year, United States fall farther and farther down the education, and nothing's being done. Now somebody's trying to do something, y'all trying to stop them. They're not presenting any solutions. We can't go back to the old way, because obviously the old way is not working. I said it in another video. At my kids' school, only 7% are on the English reading level, and only 4% is on the math level. That's throughout the whole school, and that's coming from the Department of Education. I'm glad something's being done about it.
Yeah, because it leads you to sit back like, well, what the hell are y'all doing?
Yeah.
What the hell are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Why is there money allocated here?
Yeah.
Why is anybody in here doing anything?
Yeah.
Because nothing's being accomplished.
Yeah.
Why don't we just shut this shit down until we figure out what the problem is and come up with a conscious solution, and then we can execute that plan. But until then, this whole shit shut down.
Yeah, it's like what they said, the definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing over, expecting a different result. It doesn't work that way. That's why he's doing a different way. And shout out to my man that's holding in front of the door. Because that's a lot of pressure. People are telling you to move, and he was gangsta about it. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not moving.
No.
I'm not letting y'all in. I know who y'all are. I don't care who y'all are. You're not getting in here.
Were told by security guards stationed outside that nobody had accepted a meeting and that they needed an escort.
You just gonna invite yourself.
We're here now.
You just gonna invite yourself? This is crazy.
Outside that nobody had accepted a meeting and that they needed an escort in the building in order to enter the building.
The door.
I'm glad you're all about rules. You know what I'm saying? The rules is
so you can appreciate these.
These are the rules. You need to be escorted in, and no one's going to escort you in. So y'all can go about your business and have a nice day.
In the building, in order to enter the building.
The door. He says he's a federal employee. He won't tell us who gave him permission to do this. All he knows is he's going.
No one invited you here. No one told you to come here. For the fact that you think I'm going to give you some information because you just showed up at my front door uninvited, you're out your rabid mind if you think it's about to go that way.
You're not questioning this threshold.
Won't tell us who gave him permission to do this. All he knows is.
Who gave you permission to show up? Let's start there. Who gave you permission to come here uninvited?
He won't tell us who gave him permission to do this. All he knows is he's going to stand here and tell the members of Congress who are elected, who vote for the funding for all of them in this building, and for the student loans, and for the Title I families. He's going to tell us that we can't come in and talk with anybody. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Joining me now is one of the lawmakers who tried to enter the Department of Education today, Congresswoman Jahana Hayes, Democrat of Connecticut, and a 2016 National Teacher of the Year. It's a great pleasure, Congresswoman. And, let's just get right to the bottom. Who tried to stop you, and under what authority were they acting to block members of Congress? That's the part I have to wrap my head around.
Yeah,
who fund the very department that they're standing there blocking members from coming into the building.
Well, thank you, Michael, and it's great to be here. And that's a great question. We did not get an answer to that. The man who came out, he met us at the door. The door was locked, and then he came out and met us and said we were not allowed entry to the building. We had to be on a guest list. And when I said, well, what is your name? What is your title? All he would say is, I work for the Department of Education. Never said who he was, kept pulling out a badge and pulling it back quickly. But we said, we're members of Congress. We can come into the building. We can request a meeting. Would not even let us inside the building.
Amazing.
It's like, yo, you got to go through proper procedure to get in the building. You can't just say I'm Congress and you gotta let me in because I'm Congress. There's rules and regulations to how it's supposed to go. You forfeited all those and do none of them to properly come in the building, and then you have the nerve to wonder why you're not getting in the building.
Yeah, there are rules to entry.
Yeah, if y'all are the ones that's funding this, then you should at least know the rules that go to the building. Why did you not go through it the proper way, through the
operating
proper
procedures,
channels, and you would have went through none of this?
Yeah, standard operating procedures.
It's just amazing. Well, it also kind of begs the question: what do you do next? I mean, this is the fourth time or so that members of Congress have been denied access to federal property. It's not a question of what do Democrats do, what a Republican. What do members of Congress do when something like this happens? What do you think should happen next?
Well, I think that's really important.
Set an appointment.
I think part of the problem is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has ceded all of our Article 1 powers to the president. And in this case, the Speaker of the House should be saying we need to respect the separation of powers. But I know that is not going to happen. So we are bracing for lawsuits. We've sent letters to the department requesting a meeting. 96 members of Congress signed on to this meeting. Outside groups are gearing up to file lawsuits because we read Project 2025. We know what's next. We know what's coming. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump, this whole administration is going play by play in what we saw in this Project 2025. But one thing I don't think people understand. For me, it was important to go to the department because and request this meeting because I'm open to, if you want to audit the department, if you want to make reforms, let's talk about it. Let's work together and see what we need to do. They don't want to do that. They want to tear everything down, just like they talked about in your last segment.
It's a proper way to do stuff. You can't tell me that you want to talk and you came with a bunch of news reporters and expect me to take you seriously that you came down here to talk. Did you come down here to talk or did you just try to get on the news? You wanted to make a scene. It's obviously by all the people you have with you. Why do Congress need all those reporters on that stuff just to get in the building? It makes no sense. Like you had an agenda before you even showed up at the front door. They just put a stop to your agenda and you're mad about it.
And I hope people understand what that means. A lot of the things that Republicans are complaining about that they don't like about the department with curriculum and things that happen in the school, those are local issues, not decided by the Department of Education. What the department does handle is the $1.6 trillion in student loan funds, special education, making sure that students aren't discriminated against, collecting data and statistics from school, preparing educators to teach our students, running Title I programs for our lowest income communities. All of those things will be affected. And people need to understand if those programs are cut, one of two things are going to happen. If the department is cut, one of two things are going to happen. Either those programs are going to go away or their taxes are going to go up to fund their local school systems. Our children deserve better. 49 million children attend public school in this country. And for Elon Musk to come in.
I mean, it's not like fair-mongering again. Like every time we hear the Dems talk, someone's just fair-mongering. Oh, if you do this, your property taxes are going to go up.
They're going up anyway.
Every year.
Ever
since I moved in this house,
they're not going down, they're going up.
Regardless, right?
Like that's just the reality, and then it's just like, oh, well, the kids won't be able to do it. We're gonna end up spending more money.
Yeah,
they're gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, facts.
And with no planning, no forethought, and just plow through these agencies with no plan to rebuild them or what's going to happen to the people that are affected is just completely wrong. And the members of Congress are going to stand up to that.
I'm pretty sure they got a plan. They're just not out here just shutting stuff down and don't have another contingent to go to.
Yeah.
They want to set something else up. The only way you can set something else up is you must shut this down.
You gotta shut up what you need. Yeah. Just the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
It appears that Elon Musk, Vice President Elon Musk, I guess, he's got some role, some official role.
See, he forgot his own script. He meant to say President Elon Musk, and they be calling Donald Trump the Vice President, but he can't even get his thing together, his little joke together that he's trying to even get out here.
Yeah, because he's like, I don't know how it happens, but he has a lot of power.
As he should.
He has a lot of power.
Vice President Elon Musk, I guess, I don't know, he's got some role, some official role, thinks that the Department of Education is already dead in response to Congressman Maxwell Frost's post about the DOE. He said, quote, "No such department exists in the federal government." You're an educator, a former teacher of the year.
No department exists.
Wow.
We already got rid of that. If you didn't know, it's not here no more. That's crazy.
This in the federal government. You're an educator, a former teacher of the year, someone who knows education better than most. You talked just a moment ago about the programs that are impacted both at the federal and state level. What does this ultimately mean for parents out there and school systems across the country that now will have to scramble, to your point, to figure out where those federal dollars come? Because a block grant is not going to cut it. And we know how block grants ultimately work, right?
Yes. And that's just it. Elon Musk's children don't need public schools. They're not relying on the services that are provided in public school. Donald Trump's children don't need public schools. It's my friends and neighbors. It's the kids that I taught. 7.5 million children receive special education services, wraparound services, accommodations, IEPs, the things that they need in order to learn and meet their educational goals. So many of our rural communities that don't have charter schools, that wouldn't be able to take advantage of some of these voucher programs. People need to think about that. All of those children will be denied a public education. When we had our committee hearing yesterday,
so she's once again trying to fairmonger and saying that if you need an IEP, you're gonna be denied services. Once again, why are you saying this? They didn't even lay the plan out all the way for you. So you're just making blanket statements. I almost feel like you're trying to almost fairmonger parents into believing what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just not right.
It's not cool.
The chairman said 1 million students access vouchers for private charter schools. They want to take all this money from the Department of Education and put it into voucher programs. There are not enough spaces for all of the children. What are we going to do with all of these kids? And people really need to think about that. A nation that doesn't invest in their children, that doesn't prepare them to be global citizens, to meet the workforce, we are going to lose a whole generation of kids. And it's not just the Department of Education.
We are already losing them.
Yeah.
It's like they said the whole city of Baltimore, none of the kids, in all the schools, none of the kids are reading level. Not one. You know what I'm saying? What are we really losing?
They got to figure something out.
It's not working.
These standards, these standards only are standards when they're meetable.
Yeah.
And they should be meetable.
Yeah.
That's why it's the standard. And for everybody to be below,
not a single student is on reading level in the whole city.
It's crazy.
The workforce. We are going to lose a whole generation of kids. And it's not
that was the whole premise behind that movie in the 80s. Lean on Me. Lean on Me.
Kids wasn't on the
level.
level.
This is exactly what the movie was about.
Yeah.
Kids weren't on the level to the standard,
Yeah.
and they had to raise the standard before they lost funding.
Yeah.
The school was in disarray.
Yeah.
And that's what all that, with the bat and all the extra shit was
Chains
about.
on the doors.
Yeah.
And all that.
Let me create an environment that's conducive to these kids learning.
Yeah.
But it's wild because that was based off of reality.
True story.
True story.
Yeah.
And years later, decades later.
Yeah.
Same shit.
That's a good analogy you made, and I'm glad that you brought it up because I feel like that's what Donald Trump and them is doing right now. It's like when he came into the school, he's going to say, let me keep doing the same exact thing that got us where we're not on standard. He came in and changed everything to get the result.
Yeah, to shake the tree.
And that's what they're doing. They're here shaking the tree.
Just the Department of Education. They're going after funding for Head Start and HHS. I don't understand this fascination or fixation on pulling money back that we use as resources for our children. And they talk about government efficiency. They talk about the budget. They're not going to the top for all of those big ticket items, like military contractors, like closing some of the tax.
Next, they will be auditing the Pentagon, where they will be taking care of that next. They just didn't get to it yet. They see what's going on with our students. They see what's going on with our kids, and they're addressing that. They're gonna get to that next.
Everybody got to open the books.
Yeah, everybody.
For all of those big ticket items, like military contractors, like closing some of the tax loopholes that they gave to billionaires. They're taking money from the most vulnerable children, from our global aid programs, a fraction of the budget that really helps invest in the future of this country. And parents need to think about that. Democrat parents, Republican parents, grandparents, everyone needs to understand exactly what this means if the federal government, the Department of Education is stripped and those services are lost. Before and after school programs, lunch programs, services for students with special needs.
What makes them think they're going to get rid of lunch programs? All this stuff that you're saying, why are you saying this with no actually facts that this is what is going to happen?
Because they're just looking at where the funding's coming from, what's being affected. And if you don't have such programs in place, then were we supposed to assume everything's going to continue? Like,
I wouldn't see
this is where everything's coming from.
I wouldn't see why it wouldn't continue. It's like we were saying, let the men get in the kitchen and cook. Let's see what happened, then complain. How you going to complain if nothing even happened yet?
It's just the thought of, but it's crazy because now all of a sudden everybody's thinking about the thought of, not think about the thought of the money being affected if the results were not what they should be.
Yeah.
Like if we're falling below the standard, why should we keep getting money?
Yeah. That is a great question, and that's what inquiring minds want to know.
Programs, lunch programs, services for students with special needs, all of our resources that schools have, our sports programs, our music programs, all of those things gone. Districts are going to have to make tough decisions about what they can keep, and our kids will have the bare minimum in schools, and teachers will not be prepared.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Congresswoman Johanna Hayes.
I think with all the resources that's being thrown into this and the stuff that she's saying we're going to lose, if y'all had all this stuff to lose, why did y'all do nothing about what was going on this whole time? He gave y'all the funding just to have...
Because they never thought it was something that they could lose.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like just coasting.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to happen regardless, and it's okay. Like, no, now it's like there's an expectation here, and it has to be met.
Yeah, it definitely had to get met. When I seen them, when I seen the scores come back with the 7% on reading level, 4% on the math level, the first thing I said to you was, I don't want my kids around these kids. How are they supposed to learn around this type of environment?
And what can anyone learn from each other?
Yeah, it's like my kids is in the 7 and the 4%. But I don't want them around the other kids. You remember every time my son would get in the car and be like, yo, man, I got hit. I got punched. I got kicked. I'm like, yo. I'm like, what is going on at that school? It almost felt like a jail. And this is an elementary school. And then when the numbers came back, you like, it makes sense because no one's there to learn anything. They're not learning anything. Just a crazy situation. We definitely gonna keep an eye on it. Before we get out this video, if you didn't like, subscribe, or leave a comment, make sure you do that. Until our next video is Tremaine Jones.
It's Lamar Wilson.
And we out.